So welcome back, and it's really good to be finally talking about just fashion, not about young kids getting molested and not about racism. This channel is called The Fashion Archive, not the Political Archive or Archive of Politics. So yeah, let's get straight into this fashion news. Now you guys know, like literally, this channel should basically be the channel for fashion news. Like literally, I literally bring it to you before the fashion reporters. Like I bring the tea to you rapidly. And in this news, Raf Simons has exited Calvin Klein. I saw this a few hours ago and I wanted to look deeply into why. Now, if you don't know who Raf Simons is a very good designer. He has interned and worked and learnt under Walter Van Beirendonck, who is a member of the Antwerp Six, and I've made a video on that, so check it out. And he worked for Dior Women's Wear, so he was the creative director for Dior Women's Wear. And then about 2 years ago, he got a job to work as the head creative or chief officer of Calvin Klein. And this was a big move because, to be honest, me personally, before Raf Simons went to Calvin Klein, I didn't really think of Calvin Klein other than the Calvin Klein briefs and boxers and underwear, which is what everyone thinks of when they think of Calvin Klein anyway. I think Raf Simons did an amazing job at Calvin Klein. He changed the perception of Calvin Klein. Before Raf Simons went to Calvin Klein, I did not think of Calvin Klein in any sort of high-end aspect. They might have had some high-end stuff, but personally, I'm just saying I didn't think about it like that. He kind of like changed the branding of Calvin Klein to differentiate it from the lower end of Calvin Klein. Now, like I always tell you guys, there are two sides of fashion. There's literally the side of fashion of any casual who really isn't into fashion. Those people, the type of people that think of Calvin Klein for the briefs, the underwear, and then you've got the other side of fashion, which is more high-end. And those are the type of people that think of the good stuff that Calvin Klein has done this year and last year. And I think one of my favorite things that he has done is the heavyweight cotton shirts. I really like those. Those are really wearable and commercial as well, which a lot of American brands look for. You see, the European fashion is more design, whereas American fashion is more commercial and wearable. There's nothing wrong with either of the two, that's just how it differs. And also the Calvin Klein boots, there are many different iterations and different colorways, and I think each one of them is really good. Another way that Raf Simons actually made Calvin Klein mainstream in terms of the high end is he had that campaign with the Kardashians and Jenner, and literally that thing blew up. Obviously, everyone knows the Kardashians and the Jenners are in the mainstream of social media like Instagram, and once they post anything about any brand, the brand is gonna blow up. That was a huge campaign. I don't even want to think about how much they paid Kim Kardashian. Now, considering Calvin Klein did all these amazing things for Calvin Klein, you must be wondering, like, okay, why the hell would they fire him? Like, why would he exit Calvin Klein? Now, the reason is because the head of the PVH corporation, which is a corporation that owns Calvin Klein and other major brands such as Tommy Hilfiger, they're complaining that recently the last collection didn't do so well and it didn't drive enough sales, so there was like a big disagreement, and Raf Simons has basically exited Calvin Klein before his contract has even ended. And to me, this just does not make any sense. Like, Calvin Klein, like, I'm not a businessman, but as someone with just normal common sense, right? You can't expect to make a profit every single time. You have to look at the long run. I think they're not looking at the long run, because think about it. When Raf Simons first went to Calvin Klein, I've got some figures here. So the CK revenue in the 3 months ending February 4th, 2018 jumped 23% of $977 million. And also in the fourth quarter 2017, e-commerce increased 20%. And then international sales were driven, and the brand grew 33% internationally, so countries outside the US, to $512 million in the fourth quarter of 2017. So these values show you that clearly, when Raf Simons went to Calvin Klein, the sales are going up. And this was because, like I said, no one really saw Calvin Klein in any sort of high-end light. So it was good that finally you've got the casuals who see Calvin Klein as the underwear and all of that stuff, and you've got the people who are really into fashion who now think of Calvin Klein as both. And that's what I think is so valuable to Calvin Klein, the fact that the casuals are focusing on the more commercial pieces and you've got the high-end people focusing more on the high-end stuff. I think having both of that is huge market power, in my opinion. And you can see that all the past collections did well. So just because all of a sudden this last collection didn't do so well, suddenly he's getting into arguments, and they're saying he isn't doing well enough and he didn't meet the criteria and the financial goals. And this is just the aspect of business that really pisses me off. Like, Raf Simons is such a good designer, and the thing is, they're going to feel it when Raf Simons leaves completely, because like now they're gonna have no high-end status again unless they hire some big level designer, but I can't think of any designer as big as Raf Simons right now. The PVH Corporation have been saying that they want to just move away from this high-end experiment and project completely, and then just go back into the more commercial stuff like the underwear and just focus fully on that. And once again, I don't think this is the right move. Literally, Raf Simons has been driving a profit until recent collections. So that just tells you maybe it was these specific collections that didn't really resonate with consumers. It's not like Raf Simons is a terrible designer or he's been churning out terrible collections like consistently. He did bring a profit when he first came in. They had a huge campaign. Now you've got people like me and everyone else in fashion that see Calvin Klein in a big light. And to be honest, New York Fashion Week, this is no offense to New York fashion or anything, but the brands there aren't really spectacular. And the New York Fashion Week schedule, I mean, you've got things like Heron Preston. They used to be Off-White, but now sometimes Off-White shows in Paris. And you've got Calvin Klein was basically the headline show of New York Fashion Week. Now you're gonna take that away as well. It's just like, this is just an L. This is an L for Calvin Klein in my opinion. This is like one of the worst moves they could have made. That's just my personal opinion. What do you guys think about Raf Simons leaving Calvin Klein? Like this video, subscribe to my channel. I make fashion content. New content coming soon. Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm going to be in Dubai for about 1.5 weeks. So if there are any fashion spots you guys want me to hit up, then let me know. And on that note, I'm out.